everybody. It's Sandy Boucher here once again, and welcome back to Walking My Talk. I'm so excited about this episode because, as you know, I created Walking My Talk to prove a point. For years, I've been saying to my audience that I believe with everything in me that Indigenous and non-Indigenous can work together, that we can have real relationships, even friendships, believe it or not. And then I realized earlier this year, wait a minute, I can prove that. I can create this podcast and bring on my friends and introduce you to them. And you're going to pick up on the vibe. You're going to see that this isn't fake. You know me, I don't do fake, and neither do the people I work with. So I'm really excited today because if anyone should have been my first guest, Millie Gormely, because Millie and I have known each other for so long, worked together in many different capacities, and I am proud and thrilled to call her a true friend. So, everyone, welcome, and here's Millie Gormely.
Yay, jazz hands. Well, thank you so much. Sandy is just the sweetest. Like seriously, it's an honor to be here, and thank you for having me. And you know what? You're absolutely right. It's true, and there's no reason. Well, no, there's a lot of reasons. That's the problem. There's a lot of reasons and good ones too that Indigenous people and mainstream people are wary of each other in some ways. Certainly more cause on the Indigenous side than on the mainstream side. But yeah, it's nice to be able to have these conversations and to have hope for change. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you know what? You just touched on, and I knew this was going to happen. We're just going to each other like crazy because that's what we do. But you pointed out something that I think is incredibly important, and we've definitely done this. And for the people watching, I'm not talking about a formal meeting. We're going to sit down to discuss how to build relationships with Indigenous people. That is as far from Millie and I's relationship as you can get. But we've sat together, whether it's coffee or a nice glass of wine, because we've earned that. And it comes up in conversation. And I know there's times you have asked me, okay, what about this? Right? You know, I'm seeing this happening, and this is how I've interpreted it. Am I missing something? Like, and that's what it is, like just an
Yeah.
honest curiosity. If there's one thing I don't want non-Indigenous people doing, and I've definitely seen it happen, is seeking out a friendship with an Indigenous person just because I want to learn. That's that extraction
Ew.
mentality, right? Exactly. It's like
It's
that's
ew. It's ticking a box. It's suggesting that, it's puffing yourself up like I'm doing such a good thing by befriending an Indigenous person because they have so much to like okay, not to get they have so much to teach me, ahoy, kind of getting ooh, right? It gets
yeah.
icky so quickly.
Well, on
It's
one
like
side, like you said, pure
ugh.
ego. This is all
Yep.
about me. I want the brownie points. And on the other side, you realize you're using us.
Right?
That's not a natural relationship, or God forbid, it's not a friendship. That is just extraction. I just want you
Yeah.
for the information or the brownie points to be able to say, I know
Or
you, right?
yeah, it's like there's men out there, as women we know what this is like too. And there's men out there who will try to befriend you and they're trying to get into your pants. This is sort of an emotional and intellectual version of that.
Welcome to our relationship. Now,
Oh,
what is
this
my
got weird so
there's
quickly.
Billy thing. There's there. Okay. Um, I don't know if we're allowed to mention this. Can I mention your book? Even
Well,
though it's not
it's
ready yet?
it's sort of a bookish at this point because it's not ready yet. No, not at all. Like
Okay.
so say so I will yeah, we can mention it. I mean, I am in the process of writing a book, or I'm calling it a book project because I hesitate to call it a real book because Sandy's written multiple real books and this is just a booklet. It's a bookish. It's book type thing. that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and Sandy was so kind to be one of my beta readers, and you've offered me some wonderful insights and thoughts, and I'm absorbing all of this. And but yeah, I'm working on a book.
So the reason I brought it up was when I read the book, and I'm pretty sure it was page 1, and you used the word shit, like getting your shit together. And I laughed, like I literally laughed out loud. It's like, why would I expect anything else from Millie? Even her book is authentic Millie, right? So I love it. And they reference you just made you pants. Exact same thing, right? Like, and you,
Yeah,
anyone who follows my career knows metaphors work. I use them all the time, and that is a very accurate analogy as far as I'm concerned. So,
right. Yeah.
just for that now, if anyone's watching this and going, why does Millie look familiar? That's because Millie and I used to do a podcast together. I can't
We
even remember
did.
what
It
it was called.
was, I don't either. We should I feel like we should know this. But yeah, it was a brief kind of thing. We didn't do it for long enough. And we just both got caught up with other things, but it was so
Yeah,
much fun to do.
I I
See,
can't
it tells
even
you how
remember.
fast life moves
Yeah.
these days.
Well, and the thing is, if you go on my YouTube channel and look under the podcast links, all those past episodes are there, even if we
Perfect.
can't remember the name of the podcast. They're
I
there.
feel like we
So,
should go look it up and edit this or something. That doesn't seem
yeah, yeah,
very.
yeah. Mm.
If we remember, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah. We'll put the logos in the picture and we'll make it all good. Because
Oh,
we
good heavens.
renamed it at one point in the
We
second
did.
version, and then, yeah.
Yeah,
So, welcome to our world as well. But
there you go.
speaking of which, so if you
Yeah.
recognize Millie, you're not imagining things. This is definitely, we've done this format before. Now, I think we've attempted a couple times to try to figure out how long we've known each other, and I don't think we've ever been successful.
I don't think we've nailed it down because we've been kind of in each other's orbit for quite a
Yeah,
long time before we ever really got to know each other personally very well. So I'm going to say at least 20 years that
yeah,
we've known of each other at the very least.
yeah. So I'm thinking I moved back to Thunder Bay and got involved with Perro, which is, I
Hmm.
think, where we first crossed paths, because I know you've mentioned that before. I had
Right.
forgotten that. And
It's possibly, yeah. Go ahead.
I moved back in 2009. So
Okay.
that's when I became the entrepreneur and started my business and all of that.
Okay. So a
Um,
little
so
less than 20 years then.
yeah, so around there. But we definitely danced together a long time, and we always end up at the same events. Hello again. How are you?
Right?
Right.
Exactly.
And you know what? I was actually thinking back. I was running my business. I have no idea who I was working with or whatever at the time. But we used to meet like every now and then for lunch to
It
touch
might
base.
have,
Do you remember that?
yeah, it might have been the Business Women's Network,
Oh, that's right. Thunder Bay Business.
right?
I forgot
Right?
about that. Yes,
Yeah.
because
Another,
we went to one of those nurseries together for one of the meetings.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
but why I was bringing up those luncheons, see, we just are
Tangent. Tangent.
these little milestones is meh, they're there.
Mm.
But why I mentioned the monthly luncheons and meeting and catching up and whatever. Oh, I remember you told me you were going back to acting, and we
Oh, yeah.
discussed that. I
Yeah.
wonder if I should try that because I was interested in improv. But why I mentioned it was actually because I'm owning this. I have attempted to work with you in a financial capacity before, like
Okay.
prior to this current. So again, full disclosure, Millie's my financial advisor. Highly recommend her work. But I remember way back when I attempted working with you,
Okay.
and I didn't have it together. Like my financial reality was still doing this, not enough even to
Yeah.
settle down to have a monthly withdrawal for savings, right? It was still all over the map. And the reason why I bring that up is I know that's a huge thing for Indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
That shame and guilt is a part of our journey. I mean, you must be ashamed for being Indigenous. Baloney, but the influence is definitely there.
Yeah.
Add in money, and like the risk just went through the roof. And for my followers and the viewers that are watching, one of the things I love about Millie, for one, like I said, she's authentic as heck, which as Indigenous people, we appreciate that because that's who we are. We just blurt things out. But I have never, ever felt awkward or uncomfortable or embarrassed because I didn't know what a TFSA was or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
because my income for so many years was non-taxable income, people in the audience just freaked. We're not going there. We're not going down that tangent. But because of that, I didn't know about RRSPs and other
Yeah.
things that
You didn't
people
need to. It wasn't
exactly.
relevant to your life.
Yeah. And honestly, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a representative at my bank because I saw the commercials and I saw
Hmm.
everyone talking about RRSPs. So I asked one day, like, should I have one of these? And he just kind of looked at me with a kind but silly grin. And it was like, okay, you're going to take non taxable income, put it in an RRSP, and make it taxable when you take it out. Don't
Yeah,
do
don't do that.
that. And I was like, oh, well, thank you, because you
Yeah.
watch the commercials and you
Yeah.
assume that's what you're supposed to have if you're a responsible, successful adult, right? And no, it doesn't apply.
No. And so this is something I feel pretty strongly about, this idea that, well, two things. I feel strongly about a lot of things, but two things that really come to mind when you're talking about that. First of all, this idea that we should feel ashamed of financial situations we were in or decisions we made in the past. I'm sorry, that's crap. We all have stuff in life that happens to the people in front of us, that happens to us, that happens because of us. There's things we need to take responsibility for, but there's things we shouldn't carry the burden of from the people who came before us. A lot of our own internal money stories are shaped by circumstances that aren't ours. And especially and this is just my observation, especially in the Indigenous community, there's so much ancestral trauma that money is just another one that gets carried through, and it's a big one for functioning in the mainstream world.
You know what's another thing that I just realized the other day? And you know me, I'm always analyzing and looking at things and like, oh, why didn't I realize that?
Yeah.
Because I'm 61 and getting closer to that age where other people retire. Kelly and I joke about this all the time. We don't even discuss that word because that's not happening. But you know what I realized? Largely because I've been doing a lot of events lately, either in First Nation communities or with First Nation agencies. So that's who I've been surrounded by. And
Hmm.
these are dedicated, hardworking, long term, like 20 years, 25-year employees. And for the most part, the people I work with are closer to my age. And what I realized, remembered, I guess, because way back when, before I started my business, oh, here comes Blue to join the fun. Um, before I started my business, I worked in those agencies, in those nonprofit Indigenous agencies, trying to improve the situation for our families and our friends in the communities. And what I didn't realize until just the other day, and I think it's changed now for some, but not all, those nonprofit agencies, when you work there and dedicated your life and whatever, and sure, if you got to the upper levels, you're making fairly decent money, they never had
Hmm.
benefits,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you could work hard every day of your adult life and get to retirement, and the only thing you have is the government pensions
Yeah.
because it wasn't that those benefits set aside. which is another trap keeping people in poverty, right?
Hmm.
So unless someone, like the conversation I had with the bank dude, unless someone is talking about, okay, do you realize? And you know what? The other thing is too, like I can look to my mom, and
Hmm.
my mom lived quite comfortably on her pensions. My mom also didn't spend a dime. She sat on her couch and knitted, right?
Yeah.
Like she never went anywhere and she didn't eat that much. I mean, and she was in a rent controlled apartment. So
Yeah.
unless you add in the vulnerables or variables, I should say, you could lead yourself to this false assumption that, yeah, you could live quite comfortably on your pensions and maybe in community you could if you're lucky enough to own your house or whatever or have your house
Hmm.
with the reserve, but I mean if you're living in the city, have fun.
Well, you had an interesting little Freudian slip there. The variables and the vulnerables. The
Right.
variables are what make you vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? And that's another thing I feel very strongly about is the fact that we all have our own individual variables. And so the idea that there is one right way blanket set of rules that you should follow to be financially secure, you just do this, and this, and you're going to be okay. No, because your situation is not my situation, is not Buddy down the street situation, and you've got to be able to know, Kitty, you've got to be able to know how to manage your own situation and your own vulnerabilities and your own variables to make it work. And this is where I get a little bit upset at uh, people who say, "Oh, I don't need a financial advisor," or I get all my financial advice off of YouTube or God forbid TikTok. That's information and that can be very useful. And there are people who are able to take that and run with it and do very well with it and make that work. But those you need to be extraordinarily disciplined and able to overlook your own sort of emotional biases and your own stuff in order to really make that happen. There's a very big difference between gathering information and getting advice, you
Well,
know.
and I think that is the ego trip of the modern era. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, pick any topic, whether it's politics, whether it's finances, whether it's education, whatever. There's a bunch of YouTube warriors or TikTok warriors that I watched 3 videos and now I'm an expert in this field, which to
Yeah.
me is the biggest ego trip ever.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you're going to take out the years of education and training that the actual experts put in, and
Hmm.
you think you're so intelligent that you can equal them after watching 3 videos. Like, how do you fit your head into your
Uh,
house? Right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, that makes
Yeah.
no sense to me.
Yeah.
I agree, information. Like, I have definitely seen some videos and was like, I need to talk to Millie. Right? But
Perfect.
exactly to hear
Yep.
something and then have that person to go to is
Hmm.
amazing. I keep coming back to your book for some reason. And
Okay.
I'm not giving away the farm here. But in the book, you ask a whole bunch of questions that help people. And I love that part in that it helps the reader decide, what do you want? Like,
Yeah.
what's important to you? Not the scenario or the one size fits all. And then what if this happens or what if that happens? And I know when I gave you the feedback, I commented effective because I booked an appointment with you.
Yes, you did.
That's one of the questions. It was like, ooh, I have to talk to Millie. Right?
Perfect.
So, and I
Perfect.
think that, like, in my line of work, there's a
Hmm.
lot of talk about, what does success look like to you? And I think that closely ties. Like,
Yeah.
if you never care to have a Ferrari in your driveway, then you probably shouldn't be saving for a Ferrari in your driveway, right? Because you're putting a whole bunch of stress into your life that you don't really need.
Yeah.
What
Well, think about your mom, right? Think about your mom and how she lived and having she had enough. She had what she needed,
yeah,
and Now, granted, she may have had money anxieties and worries that we are not privy to because you never know what goes on inside somebody else's head. But at the same time, would it be fair or reasonable of someone to look at her balance sheet, to look at her bank statement or to look at her investment statements and say, you have failed because she didn't have $1 million in the bank?
And she didn't stress over money because I know what her bank
Good
account
for her.
has. And my mom, if anything else, she was the epitome of living well below her means. Like
Yep.
literally, but that was that era too, right? Like my
Yes.
mom bought things when they were on sale. She, like, we always used to tease her because if you needed a battery, talk to mom. There was a box somewhere of every kind of battery you could ever need, right? Definitely, like, honestly, to go to a sad but funny moment when I was packing up her apartment after she
Mhm.
left, I was like, Mom, why do you need 5,000 safety pins? Like, what
You
exact
never know.
crisis did you think was coming? And we got to laugh at how frugal
Yeah.
she was. But
Yep.
she didn't worry because she had what she needed, right? She had zero interest in fancy restaurants or travel. And I mean, if you do, that's all the power to you. That's great.
Yep.
It wasn't something she was most comfortable. Her security came from knowing I have a roof over my head and that I can afford to make whatever payments. And I mean, it was utilities included. I mean, she set herself up, and you're right. She chose to move there.
Hmm.
When my dad passed away, she quickly understood we had the big house, the barn, right? And it was huge and it was expensive to maintain. And mom
Hmm.
quickly realized not feasible. Like,
Yeah.
we can't stay here. She moved into an apartment. She was still working full time at that point, but she knew I don't want to worry about, if the roof leaks or if the furnace goes or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. But
Yeah.
her life would be horrific for someone who, home ownership is the way to go, or I want to have something
Yeah.
passed down to my kids, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. So her lifestyle, her amount of money that she needed was what she needed. And she kind of got that figured out in a way that she could be comfortable with. And other people might not be comfortable with that. Other people would be very upset if they didn't get to travel a couple of times a year, or if they didn't get to, you know, go to a nice restaurant once in a while, something like that. And whether she could or she couldn't, that is kind of irrelevant because she didn't want to,
Yeah.
right? It is difficult when you want, it comes down to managing expectations, I
Yeah.
guess, right? And this is something that society has done to us where our expectations are set so high that it's not it's not feasible or realistic or reasonable for us to have a lot of the expectations that society tells us we should have, to feed the capitalistic beast,
Yeah.
to keep working to the extent that you're killing yourself, all for a retirement that may never come because you had a heart attack and you killed yourself. Like
Exactly.
it's just
And
I keep telling clients all the time, I don't want you to die in a pile of money.
yeah.
I want you to
Right.
enjoy your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's finding that
Awesome.
balance and making
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah. And the other side of that coin too, growing up in poverty, counting every penny, always way more month than money. Uh,
Hmm.
I kind of ended up in this mindset. It wasn't helpful, for the record, that those things that you saw advertised and you're supposed to be able to do were out of my reach, right?
Hmm.
That I just accepted that. And for one, going on a vacation, a nice southern vacation, it was something I always wanted to do. Just assumed that was for affluent people to do, until I actually called my travel agent friend and said, what would this cost? And was incredibly shocked at the amount. Now, I mean, if you're impoverished, yes, it's going to be out of your reach, but it definitely wasn't the number I thought it was going to be. And it's like, what? I could
You
do
mean I could actually
that,
do this?
right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
just realize, like, don't make assumptions. Again,
Hmm.
back to the expert. By the way, before I forget, because I really do want to highlight this because I love this about you. Yes, Millie's a financial advisor, and there's a couple of those out there, in case you haven't noticed.
Quite a few.
But Millie works with a very specific group of people. So go for it.
Okay, so my focus is on working with what I call independent women. So if you're single, you're widowed, you're divorced, or you just keep your finances separate from your partner, I think that is an underrepresented slice of society for getting financial advice. So often, women are kind of talked down to and patronized, or it's assumed that there's going to be a man around to take care of things, and you shouldn't worry your pretty little head over it. That just enrages me to no end. And another thing is that I work with women who are in, call it an income or a assets bracket that's not necessarily high net worth. So, I've got my minimums because I have to, because there's only so much of me to go around. But at the same time, you don't have to have $1 million before I'll talk to you, because for one, that just feels very rude. And for another, you can need and benefit from what I do without having to have that level first. So my whole goal is to help my clients get all of those pieces of their financial lives working together. So we start talking about your cash management, what's coming in, what's going out. How can we sort of stop the bleeding on things where we can, and start siphoning things off so we can prepare for your future. We'll talk about tax management, same kind of thing. How can you keep more of what you're earning? We'll talk about retirement and investment planning. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want the rest of your life to look like? And how do we pay for it, right? And we talk about, what types of investments are suitable for you based on your time frames and your goals and, your temperament, really. Because it's easy for me to say, okay, you are a woman who is X years old, you want to retire in X number of years with this amount of money and blah, blah, blah. And the math part is not anywhere near as important as the emotional part, because markets go up and markets go down. And you need to be able to stay invested when things are going crazy in the world around you. You need to be comfortable that what you've got is solid and makes sense for you. And then, kind of on the back end of things, I help people get their insurance needs sort of analyzed and set up, because you want to be able to protect everything that you're building for you and for the people that you care about. And then finally, it's about estates, right? So, like I said, I don't want people to die on a pile of money, but if we work things out right, there will be a little something left. And how can we set that up so that it goes where and how you want it to? So I want my clients to be calm. Let's see what the situation actually is before we freak out. Let's lay everything out on the table and say, okay, here's where we're at. How do we get from where we're at to a better place?
Yeah.
And then once we kind of get that built and in place and tweaked and massaged and maintained along the way, then you can be calm, you can be comfortable, and you can be confident in your financial future. So that's what I do. That's what I want for my clients.
Which reminds me, I'm going to go off on a personal tangent for a sec. Viewers, just ignore this. Millie, we definitely need to book a longer appointment, because I'd love to go through all of that just to update it, because you
Yep,
know me, so much has changed on my side.
exactly.
And
So
you're
yes, we'll
so
do
used to this from me. But
we'll do a
there are
good long review.
definitely, yeah. And the one thing that I would like, and I think this is possible, but I'm not
Hmm.
certain, is that if, God forbid, something happens to me,
Hmm.
that you are like the go-to person, so that you know about my insurances, and you know about the agreement of what happens with my website if everything happens to me, because that's been finalized. So, but
Okay.
so that it would be easy on my kids to be able, okay, Millie has these answers, right? So
I can do that to a certain extent. Like, I cannot be your executor, and we could
no,
probably
no,
leave this
that's
in
not
for
what
other
I
people.
meant. But yeah, that
No,
you know
but
where the
yeah,
documents are, basically. So
yeah, you tell me, I'll keep notes and I'll tell them.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah, sure, absolutely, we can
Because
talk about
even
that.
if they know it in that moment, you forget all that stuff. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, exactly.
So how are things going? Like, and by the way, you made the comment. A couple of things from the viewers. I don't have $1 million. So what she said,
Not yet,
you don't need
not
it
yet.
put together. That is true. The other thing is, I don't know if you know this, but I have it's a habit I've had probably since I was counting pennies, and it's probably a habit I'm going to keep forever. But I update all of my, like, I have a spreadsheet, and it's like
Hmm.
the bank accounts, what's on the cards, what's in my investments every single day. So, and that would freak people out if you are not okay with the markets, like you said. And
Absolutely.
if nothing else, I totally understand that the markets do this now, watching it. It's like, oh, it's up. Oh, it's not anymore. Right.
Yeah.
But, and it doesn't freak me out at all because it's minor because I'm looking at it daily. But understanding and really embracing that if that change is going to make you nervous, don't look at it. To me, it
Yeah.
was like a learning curve. It was like, no,
Absolutely.
this isn't a every now and then it goes down. No, it's doing the dance all the time, right?
Every single day, you
Yeah,
know. And yeah, and again, it does come back to the emotional aspects of things because I have people who will check their stuff every single day. Like we have apps for that. You can have it on your phone. And then I've got people that every year I have to call them up and say, you're getting tax slips. You need to open those envelopes because I know you don't open your statements. Right. So yeah, it's everybody's a little bit different. Like I don't personally check my own stuff every day. I
yeah,
don't have the time, and frankly, after looking at everybody else's stuff all day, I'm tired of it. Because I'm not having any plans to need any of it for at least 15
yeah.
years. Right? I'm
For
I'm
me,
I'm working.
it's and this is a mental thing. And again, whether you're indigenous, non-indigenous, or like I don't care, if you've done any kind of level of impoverished,
Yeah.
to me, it is like a security blanket. Check it. See, everything's good. It's still there.
Yep.
It didn't. I don't know why my mind thinks it's going to vanish, and it's like, no, still there, still doing okay. Like, look, everything's good.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just that, yep, we're doing okay. Keep going, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, and I mean, whatever works, right?
Whatever works for you as an individual human being is fine. And yeah, like these financial gurus who go on and again giving advice disguised as information or information disguised as advice. I think it's information disguised as advice,
Yeah,
telling people that, this is how it is and you should do this and giving you very specific things you should do. You should look at your statements every 2 months and rebalance it every 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Uh, Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't.
yeah,
I hate the word should. It just mm.
yeah. Well,
I
that's
have
what
I
it's
have other
reality.
issues when it comes to that kind of thing, but
Yeah,
but
that's
you've
just
got to
our
figure out, just like everything else in life, you've got to figure out what works for you.
yeah,
And that can take some time and that could take a little bit of effort. But figure out what level of attention you want to be paying to
yeah,
things
yeah,
and set yourself up accordingly. Because if you're doing, say, individual stocks and you're buying and selling stuff like a day trader, then you absolutely should be looking at your stuff all day, every day, and
yeah,
being very, very on top of it. Whereas if you're using something in the business we call the managed solutions, where it's designed to be a whole portfolio kind of in one thing, and there is a team of people managing that all day, every day. They've got the big computers and the big
yeah,
brains and the fancy suits. They're in there doing that. Then yeah, you probably don't need to be looking at it every single day because that's what they're doing. So
yeah.
somebody is on it. It doesn't need to be you. But some people aren't comfortable with that. So whatever works.
And like I said, for me, it's so totally information. And when it
Yeah.
came to the stocks or whatever, I have enough to manage. Running my business and running my home. The
Yep.
thought, and I know, like, and I thought they were really promoting like doing your personal investing and playing on the stock market for a while. And there was a whole bunch of different apps and things. And
Hmm.
on one side, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting too. Do not have the time. Like I do
Yeah.
not have the bandwidth, the brain power, whatever, to become an expert in 52 different fields. Like, and
Yeah.
that would take away from what I do know. So it's like, nope, That's Millie.
Yep.
So,
Well, that's the thing. I don't cut my own hair. I don't sew my own clothes. I don't,
right.
take charge of my medical care. I go to a doctor.
Yeah,
I don't try to write my own legal documents. I go to a lawyer for that. And this is no different.
yeah,
Some people do want to go to that level of granularity of self-managing. And that's great. I'm really happy that it is an available option for people to do
yeah,
that because for years and years it wasn't. And if you wanted to make a trade on your account, you had to call up your broker and hope that he was there and, make sure that they would do the trade for you and fill out all the paperwork and charge you $50 to do it. And now you can go on your phone and trade crypto in a heartbeat. I
yeah.
mean, that's awesome that people can do that. But that doesn't mean that everybody has to do that or that it's suitable for everyone to be made to do that.
One
Different
thing
strokes.
I've definitely noticed in the conversations I've had, and I'm wondering if you see them in the ones you have with clients. So back to YouTube and TikTok again, and then
Hmm.
just this inundation of information on so many topics. I see people confusing the states with Canada.
Oh,
Like I
Lord,
will
yes.
see, right? I will see an information video and it's like, but that's US based. Like we have different rules, different legislation, things are done differently. But it's getting all mixed up. So you definitely do see that.
Yeah, not so much because most people that I'm working with are at least aware that, we have RRSPs and TFSAs and they have 401ks and
Yes.
IRAs in the States, right?
So if you're
Um,
freaking why you don't have a 401k, that's why.
it's yes, you don't, as a Canadian, you do not need a 401k. You actually cannot have a 401k. It is not on the table for you. Let it go. And
Yes. So I see that confusion all the time. The other thing I wanted
yeah,
to point out to the viewers, and one of the things I love about the work you do, Millie, um, as a female who's been around for a while, I'll just put it that way.
yep,
Um, Life has a habit of lifing,
it really do.
right? And you may think and you may be in this awesome place, but suddenly a divorce happens, or a
Yeah.
separation happens, or God forbid, a partner passes away, and
Hmm.
the game changes, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's why I love that that's a segment you work with, because I've been there, done that in those moments where it
Hmm.
all feels overwhelming, where you are so conscious of the fact that you don't have the answers. And for
Yeah.
many people, not having any clue where to get the answer. And in the past, this is before I found Millie, um, definitely run into one or two financial advisors of the male persuasion that were more than willing to look down on me as the poor little lady that doesn't know what she's doing, and it's okay, I'll take care of it for you. Not explaining anything. Not exactly, exactly. So as far away from empowerment as you can get, which is of course my
Absolutely.
goal. Um, yeah, and that doesn't make you feel better. That makes you feel worse, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
When you're in the thick of a major life change, you're going through the divorce, you've just buried your partner, you've just lost your job. There's a period of time where you probably shouldn't be making major financial decisions because you're not in a good place for it.
yeah,
Right? There's that whole that comes back to calming down and just being calm. And that is kind of part of what I do is just having these conversations with people and just letting them let it out and
yeah,
helping them kind of process it. I can't fix the situation. I cannot do it for you. I cannot go with you to your lawyer and help you negotiate your divorce. But I can be there to listen and I can help you sort out what your life is going to look like after this period is sort of in the rearview mirror. And I think it's yeah, jumping the gun on major financial decisions is something that we should be aware of and try to avoid, because you don't know who you are in that moment. If
yeah,
you've been a wife for 20 years, and now all of a sudden, because of a divorce or a death, you're not a wife anymore. Your life is not going to look the same going forward, and you need to take a little bit of time to kind of sit back and figure out, who am I now?
Yeah.
Because that's the person you need to be making decisions for. And so you need to know who she is, at
Yeah.
least a little bit, right? And there are ways, one of the things that I really am a big believer in is having flexibility in your financial plan. So not nailing yourself down to a very specific set of goals and instructions, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to be for the next 20 years, and we're going to buy an annuity so you never have to think about this again. Like, I'm not a big fan of doing things like that because it removes the possibility of adjusting for growth, like
Yeah.
personal growth, right? You're going to be a different person after this is all sort of behind you. So who do you want to be going forward? And that's a conversation that can take a long time to figure out.
Yeah.
It just does.
And I just realized one thing, another reason why we fit together so well. So I'm a huge fan of what I call like coping mechanisms. I can't control what's going to happen, but if I know that's a possibility, I can prepare in case it does happen. Right. So
Yeah.
it's not about control, it's about making sure that you're standing on stable ground. So, in the case of your work, on one side, you're helping people grow and achieve the things they want to achieve. And on the
Mhm.
other hand, it's making sure you're on stable ground for when the things we don't see coming happen.
Right. What
So,
if we have to pivot?
exactly. And anyone who's been on the planet for any length of time, pivoting will happen. Like
Oh yeah.
we did lockdown for God's sakes.
Right?
Biggest
That was a
pivot.
pretty major pivot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, like I remember, and back then I was only doing live events. I was
Yeah.
actually at an event when they announced the lockdown. And
Wild.
I was out of town, so I had about a 4 hour drive home to process what is that even going to look like, right?
Yeah.
And then I know for me, well, I lost 48 grand in 24 hours. And that was the
Mm.
email after email after email of an event canceling because obviously like my work
Yep.
became legal overnight. You can't have like live events. So
Yep.
and doing the WTF, right? So now
Yeah.
obviously in that case, I don't think any of us saw a global pandemic coming. But and by the way,
No.
you notice I'm still here. So on this side of even that, but that's having people in your corner to okay,
But
if I have
just
to
knock
panic,
ideas around if nothing
yeah,
else. Yeah.
100% brainstorming, right? What can work? And I mean, I love it when we do get together. So much of now, how long have you been in business? Like
I
doing
have
something?
been a financial advisor since 2006. So 19 years in, counting on 20.
Okay, awesome. And then 16 for me. So I love that when we get together, we do the entrepreneurial check-in. Okay, so what are you doing with your social media? What are you doing with this?
Right?
And
Yep.
wow, that sounds great. What is that? What is that program? And just like you said, brainstorming, having someone that
Yeah.
you don't have to try everything on your own.
Yeah.
Even if it's, I'm not doing this, but I heard someone's using this and it's absolutely amazing. So, yeah,
hmm
yeah,
Like,
that's
we all, as entrepreneurs and as self-employed people, we all have to find our own path. And I think that sometimes, certainly in my industry, there's a lot of FOMO, there's a lot of shiny objects, there's a lot of squirrel. Someone is doing X thing, so therefore I should be doing it. And if I'm not doing it, is there something wrong with me? So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that can kind of knock you down and make you feel inadequate. And it's nice to be able to talk to people like yourself who have a different perspective on things.
yeah,
As certainly if you're in a well-established industry, and I mean, speaking is not as well-established an industry in that sense of having that sort of massive infrastructure as
yeah,
financials.
yeah.
but still, I mean, you probably hear about things that other people are doing, other speakers are doing that maybe I should be doing this. And again, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. It's
Yep.
always great to explore things. Like I am a big junkie for, ooh, what's a new idea? But I've had to learn because again, there's only one of me. There's only so much I can do. There's only so much budget I have to try new things. Is that you've got to be very choosy about what you commit your time and your money and your energy to.
Yeah. And you know, one thing I've definitely noticed of late, and I assume you've noticed it at some point as well. When I was in my first years of business, starvation was an absolute fear, right? It's like,
Well,
I'm going
yeah.
to starve to death if I don't bring money in. And so, talking about the shiny object, every now and then I would get an offer where I could help another company do this, and it would be a revenue stream, but it wasn't my lane.
Yeah.
And there were times I did take it just to make sure there was revenue coming in or whatever. And
Yep.
just in the last 6 months, so 16 years in from the people watching, I've had a couple of those offers, and both times it was like, I will never take that much energy away from my lane. Like it is,
Yeah.
yeah, it could be another revenue stream. I could make more staying in my lane, right?
Yep.
So
It's
the
having that confidence to do that.
exactly that the
And
fear,
that
that's
comes
what I
with
was going
time.
to say. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fear is being replaced by confidence that
Yes.
it's like, no, that now I know, like you just said, finite amount of energy, money, whatever it is. And if I
Yeah.
send little bits everywhere, I'm only putting in little bits of effort. Whereas if I focus, then I've got
Hmm.
everything I've got, right?
Well, and you have to have an enormous amount of faith in yourself to actually trust that you can bring in money, even though it looks like in your the place you want to be making money, it looks like there's nothing coming in, and you can see the calendar and it's clear for weeks and months on end. And but you've got this thing that's right here, even though it's not really aligned with who you are or what you want to be doing. It's so tempting to just kind of grab that because there's always that little voice in the back of your head going, "I'm not going to eat."
Yeah. And you know what? In the beginning, knock your socks off, right? Like if
Do what
you
you got to
take
do.
those I think like my summers tend to be, this is funny. My summers tend to be slow. So
Sure.
in the first couple of years, I even did like part-time work for other businesses just to make sure I had some kind of money coming in the
Yep.
summer. And then when it stabilized, like by probably year 10, I realized I have a career that forces me to slow down in the summer.
Hello.
Why am I fighting this? Like,
Right?
seriously, right? It's like, wait a minute. Maybe
Maybe we
instead,
should roll with this.
exactly. The creator's saying, I'm trying to give you time in your backyard. Why are you fighting
Yeah.
me? Right. And instead preparing for it as opposed to, oh God, I wish I was working in the summer. What? What?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because we
yeah,
all need those periods of rest.
yeah.
And again, because you're an entrepreneur and you're someone who is engaged, like our business is between our ears all the time. We're always on some level thinking about work.
100%.
And so to have seasons in your business where you don't have that level of pressure on you all the time, that's a gift. And it took me so long to realize that too.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
So
It's
that
like,
whole idea of I don't have 15 appointments this week. What's wrong? Well,
yeah,
maybe you just don't have 15 appointments this week. Maybe that means you can catch up on something else. How about that?
yeah. Like sleep.
Yeah.
Something scary and novel, like sleep. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we get wiser as we get older. And I think, if nothing else, you really embrace you're not meant to do this alone. And friendships and partnerships and having people to bounce ideas off of
Hmm.
just makes it so much easier and so much more enjoyable. So,
Oh yeah.
um, do you have a busy week ahead? Probably.
Yeah, I do actually. I have quite a number of appointments and I'm getting ready to do so mid November, I'm speaking at an experts summit on divorce. So people who are, in that space right now, and they're kind of going through things. There's going to be, there's a couple of financial advisors speaking. I'm one of them. There's going to be, a couple of lawyers, a couple of accountants, a couple of divorce coaches,
Yeah,
some therapists, just experts around the whole spectrum of
yeah,
everything to do with divorce. So kind of preparing for that and trying to get the booklet project bookish thing happening.
yes, yes. And I know for me, I was out of the office 3 out of 5 days last week,
Mm.
which is always amazing because I love what I do, but also what's happening back home that I'm forgetting. But I know there's an email I forgot to respond to. So today is all of the or today, this week is all the background stuff because I'm traveling again next week. So
Perfect.
welcome to my world. I'm surfing. That's what I'm doing.
And that works for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the 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 massive, massive benefit that we have as self-employed people is that we can organize our lives how we want. And now, granted, sometimes that means working any 14 hours of the day that you want, but it should also encompass it's 2 o'clock on a Friday. I'm pretty much tied up for the weekend. I'm going to shut the computer down
100%.
without guilt. You don't have to sit in the desk from 9 till 5. It's probably better for you if you don't.
Yes, exactly. And I do that almost daily because I start probably at my desk by 5:30, 6 a.m. I know that makes Millie cringe.
Oh,
but,
girl.
but come three,
More
four
power to you.
o'clock,
You're
but
toast.
come 3, 4 o'clock, I'm probably not at my desk. That's when I'm
Yeah,
going to do my errands. That's when I'm off
yeah,
meeting with someone where, like, my brain is firing on all cylinders first thing in the morning. So that's when I'm doing the spreadsheets and reports and everything that needs that level of concentration. And I
yeah.
save conversations for the afternoon because then it's just my brain is calm. So it's like now I can focus on you and I'm not panicking to remember everything. So again,
Exactly.
it's what works for you, whether it's a plan for your financial future or how you run your business or your life. So,
Yeah.
but
All of the
anyways,
above.
Millie, it was amazing catching up with you. Any excuse to catch
I'm
up.
so glad we did this. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, when last time I saw you, it's like, wait a minute, why has Millie not been on my podcast?
I don't know.
It's
Probably
like
you probably thought I was already on because we've
distinct
done
possibility. Meant to
we've done so
know
many
and
podcasts
what goes.
before.
Yes. Okay. Okay, hon. You take care. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.
Mwah. Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.